Okay, but this work package is about diet and older age. We know that when people become older, they change what they're eating and they don't eat enough. But we don't know the factors that are associated with that, and we don't really know how some of those changes in diet impact on their physical function and cognitive function. So the aim of this work is to investigate further, more longitudinally than's been done before, how what people are eating, both earlier in life and when they're older, how it impacts on their physical and cognitive capability. The work that we're going to do within this work package is going to use the dietary information that's been obtained in some of the cohorts, and we're going to try and make it uniform, harmonize it across the cohorts, and relate it to physical and cognitive measures that we also have in those same cohorts. Current research to date has tended to look at older people already, so ask them about their diet when they're already old, and we want to see if what they eat when they're younger impacts on their physical capability when they're old. The diet in these cohorts has been collected in rather a lot of different ways, mostly by what we call food frequency questionnaires. And so we have to put those together in a sort of uniform way so that we can look at these cohorts similarly. So a major part of the work is to bring those together and harmonize them. Most research in the past has looked at specific nutrients, but first of all, people don't eat nutrients, they eat foods, and so we want to look at foods. And also those nutrients may be in foods together, so there may be a number of nutrients that are important in the foods that we eat. So we're looking at things like meat intakes rather than protein, which we think may be a problem in older people, because it has the right quality of protein and it may contain a number of nutrients that are important. And we're going to look at fruit and vegetables because those contain a number of nutrients that may be important for cognitive decline. So we're putting these cohorts together and getting the same information on fruit and vegetable intake and meat intake that we can then compare to physical and cognitive measures that we have in the cohorts. So, as I said, quite a lot of the work is trying to bring these together, and that's taken quite a lot of the time at this point because they use different dietary assessment instruments. And one of the cohorts, the National Survey of Health and Development, has collected dietary information in rather a different way. So it's collected dietary information in what we call diet diaries, where people record what they're eating for 5 consecutive days. That data is much more detailed than in the other cohorts. So it allows us to use the information we've got from the other cohorts to see how well these common measures that we may have from them relate to the total intake of, say, fruit and vegetables. A lot of work has been done on harmonizing this food intake information. It's taken a lot of time. We're only now at the point of looking at, say, fruit and vegetable intake and meat intake in relation to physical and cognitive capability. And to date, we've only looked at physical capability, and we're going on to look at cognitive capability later or soon. So we found that fruit and vegetables, not surprisingly, are not related to physical capability. The reason we wanted to look at fruit and vegetables was more in relation to cognitive capability. So we hope that there is a relationship there. What we hope to find in relation to physical capability is that these intakes of meat will be related to physical measures like grip strength and so on, the things that are an indication of whether or not someone's going to become frail. And we've got some very early results so far which suggest that there is some relationship there. In most of the cohorts there's something. So it's promising, but we haven't done too much on the meat yet because a lot of the work has been on this method development. In a sort of separate analysis, we've used NSHD, the National Survey of Health and Development, to look at macronutrient intakes and energy intakes, and has shown relationship between energy intake and physical capability in the form of grip strength in particular. One of the other things that we are going to look at in the next year is a measure of overall quality of the diet. So diet quality means essentially how good the diet is, but it tends to use elements from different types of foods and nutrients to generate a diet quality score. So there are a number of what are called diet quality indices that people have developed around the world that we're hoping to be able to use with the cohorts so we can get a measure of overall diet quality in relation to physical and cognitive capability. And that'll tell us something about the overall diet that older people should eat in order to prevent themselves from becoming frail, or even that they should eat earlier in life to prevent themselves from becoming frail later on.
What are we doing on diet in relation to cognitive capability, and why? Well, evidence suggests that choosing to eat a healthy diet can actually protect against cognitive decline and dementia. So, for example, the so-called Mediterranean diet, which is rich in fruit and vegetables and nuts, and fish rather than meat, and vegetable oil as a source of fat. And we're focusing on the choices people make in their diet rather than looking at specific micronutrients like fatty acids or vitamins, because it's those choices that we want to actually try to change. So for cognitive capability, our focus over the next year is going to be on the effects of eating fruit and vegetables and meat in the HALCyon cohorts.